Hello everyone, this is Frequency Bones Summer Music Connection 8, Video 6 of the Recovery Series. I want to just start by saying a couple things about organic process, which was talked about on the last video. Hang on one second. Maybe this will help, maybe it won't. Just move the microphone a little closer. And I'm standing up in the place that I usually make these videos. Just trying something different. Since the last time I stood up and something felt good about it. The only thing I don't like, and I'll have to figure out positioning the computer, is I don't want to feel like I'm talking down. Not at all. So, I was bringing up different things in nature and to get on the frequency of like a tree growing or other kinds of plants or animals, birds, watching clouds form. All of these are not man-made and therefore have a certain naturalness by that which created them and the circumstances in which they formed and came into being. The human being, and if you look at the different processes, from insects, for example, to fish, to mammals, even in the categories of insects, fish, and mammals, there are different processes, aren't there? Different kinds of development, different ways of birth. And so the human being has its own remarkable, extraordinary organic processes of formation. And then once it's born, it goes through other developments. And we have a lot of complex structures in us. And you know what? So do dolphins, so do whales, so do chimpanzees, so do dogs and cats. And as I've found out, can't see her, but parrots and rabbits, everything has a multiplicity of lives in that one life. So it looks like a lot of times there's an aspect of here's stage 1, here's stage 2, here's stage 3. But remember, within those various stages, there's multi-stages and multi-things that are happening within that stage. And sometimes an academic approach, what I feel sometimes is an academic approach to teaching, is thinking that, well, let's get this one thing before you move on to the next. That does not work for a lot of people. That can be very, very stifling. Some people might really feel good with that. But within that one stage, I feel it has to be supplemented with some other things that will thicken and deepen and actually make that one thing have more of a chance of forming. So within one thing, there's always a multiplicity, and that is organic. That is organic. And remember the word natural. Now, if the trombone was such a natural thing, those who were prone to playing it as part of their earthly journey would come out of the womb going, well, we kind of a variation on that. We take a big breath and go, or whatever we do. But you see, it's not totally 100% natural. We work on certain things and actually need to form certain things that will be important for playing our instrument. So I wanted to throw that out, that the human being's development is similar but different than a tree, because the life has a different function. And remember that a lot of education, going to a music school as such, people are trying to train you into a certain function, maybe to fit inside of the orchestral keyboard, perhaps to be a good composition theory teacher at a college, a university, a conservatory. There's a function. But here's where the naturalness comes in, to embrace your own genuineness. And I know I talk about this a lot, and that's because it's missed a lot. And I feel a lot of teachers don't understand this fully. And either that or they're not patient enough to sit with someone. And so they want people at a certain level already, so then they can say, okay, do this, do that, and then, keep kind of pushing them on in the way that the student wants to go in a direction the student says they want to go in, and they can deal with that particular process. It depends on what you want. But even orchestral playing, there's a spectrum of how to do it. There's not one way. There's not a best way. There just isn't. There might be ways that are more efficient that some people can agree to, and others go, you know what, that doesn't work for me. I have to do it this way. And that's why the onus or the responsibility and the organic process is on the individual to discover that, find it. And then you'll see all these, like the juggler who tries to juggle many balls and they come together and it looks like just one thing. And yet there's so many things involved in creating what looks like a singular balance. So there's one in the many and the many in the one. So here we are. Speaking of an organic process, I've been playing. Things have been going well. I wanted to really play a lot longer last night, but one of my overlays, my first overlay, my physical overlay, said, you're not playing anymore at all. I was playing and all of a sudden just went, it just stopped. In my younger years, I would have just kept plowing through. Now I don't. Especially now I don't. And when to plow through, when not to plow through, that has to be discovered as well. If you're feeling like, man, this isn't feeling good at all, stop. If it feels like it totally breaks down, well, usually you don't have a lot of choice. Especially if you want to play without creating damage. So my physical body said, that's the first overlay, said, done, nothing. But my mind wanted to keep going. It was so in it. And that's where patience comes in, because it's a whole group effort. All the lives inside of the one life of yourself. And sometimes the one life says, enough is enough. Sometimes your body feels great, but your mind can't handle it anymore. So you take a break. Sometimes it has to be for the rest of the evening. You come back the next day. So, that's a lot of what I have to say today. I can play a little bit and see what you think. Probably won't even sound that much different. Because now, in order for me to get to other levels, I have to put in another kind of practicing. I have to divide it up more through the day. 45 minutes here, an hour there, and maybe another half hour at night or something, and then keep adding on to it. Depends on what you want. I can pick up and play all the nice little melodies that come to me and some that you've heard on the videos. But to go beyond that, it's going to take a little more work. We'll see. Let me move the microphone. I love the rolling of the tongue. That sometimes it. I love that rolling of the tongue. I think you heard that anyway. But what I love about it is it starts to sound like a mandolin. You know? I don't know, that sounded more like a gargle. And it's interesting because a part of me's tired, and the part of me that's tired doesn't want a tongue. Isn't that curious? So a part of the brain that probably has to do with speech doesn't want to go doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. And sometimes that feels just like it could just keep going and going and going. Sometimes I go for 15 minutes playing something like that with that happening in it. And I have more command over it. So it just might not be the tongue. It might be some of the embouchure not wanting to respond in that way right now. So I'll try something different. So right now, it's very curious. I haven't had asthma in months. And I had a little, maybe about 5-6 days ago, actually. Just a little bit. But this morning, or last night before going to bed, I could feel, something's getting funny. And I definitely woke up and had to do my treatment, which is meditation, certain yogic breathing exercises, and then to help it along even a little bit more if it's needed, yes, I do take 100% dark chocolate. It's a very good kind. It doesn't taste as bitter as you think. But that's enough caffeine to help open it up a little more. But the meditation and the breathing exercises really helped a great deal too. Actually, don't meditate just for the physical benefit. Just to say that, a lot of people talk about the rest, and that's a part of it. Because good meditations will take the whole overlay system, your body, your mind, your soul, to a specific depth of silence, which is a very beautiful kind of music. Because it's actually silent, but it's not. So just to say that. But it does have other great benefits too. So I realized that I don't really feel like playing with a lot of vibrato today. When I was just playing right now, I was almost kind of getting into more of that open French horn sound and just letting it kind of naturally flow, and actually felt better. So sometimes we have to find what we need. And you know what? Who says that isn't an organic process? Who says that it's not an organic process to let something flow through you? Now, I'm not talking about avoiding things that you know as an instrumentalist you need to work on. But I find sometimes if you let yourself find what you need to do, other things will want to come as well. Because you're starting with a very important thing called starting with what you can do. And maybe then what you need to do. And from there, you might feel like tonguing a few notes. You might be able to move into more complicated or variations on what you're doing and cover more range and dynamic. For something that's really organic is alive. And sometimes it's quiet. And to some people, and many of us are addicted to adrenaline, that quiet part of the process can seem boring. And that's why learning to appreciate subtlety and quiet and silence is vital in art. It's vital in life. Well, quiet doesn't mean dead or non-existence. So, you ever tried playing from quiet? Now, I wouldn't have expected that to come out. I was extremely quiet inside. But I was so quiet, and parts of my body are feeling maybe that I didn't get a good enough solid rest, that they wanted to close up. They didn't want to keep the quiet, open, hushed, warm resonance sound. They wanted to start murking up. So I just let it. And all of that, even though there were some fast notes in it, couldn't you feel some of the silence?